The Vuelta, the Tour of Spain, is a cycling spectacle on the Grand Tour stage that, well, it's great because it features those steep climbs up the Angliruand and the Los Machucos. Well, today the Tour jumped on board and gave us some super steep bike paths up the Col de la Loze. The results were even Vuelta-like. Coming up, we're going to talk about the results and reactions of stage 17. Bernal quits the Tour. Some aren't happy about it. The B2W podcast gets some NBC time. Kinda. Bahrain declares, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. Is that true? Some things to make go, the ride of the day. And Christian Prudhome, he gives Macron something. We have the shocking video for you today. It's Wednesday, September 16, 2020, and this is the Between Two Wheels podcast, episode 199, stage 17. We've been talking about this. Look, they haven't been to this part of, I guess I heard today, since 71, 73, 1971, 73, they haven't been over in this area. And since then, they paved this road up. It turned, Sepp Kuss called it a goat path, but it was really just a bike path, super steep near the top. Shocking results? No, but some good results nevertheless. So we had on the day 170 kilometers. Maybe we'll take a look right away at the profile for the stage 17. And we've talked about this and shown this for a few days here, but we're going to show it again. Little sprint at 45K in, and then 107K in. They're going to crest the Col de la Madeleine, and then drop down, and from about the 140 to 171K point, they're going to just be going uphill with some steep pitches near the end, up to over 2,000 meters, high altitude, high octane racing, big time stuff, and we'll go through it today. So they start in Grenoble, go from Merbel to Col de la Loze, as we talked about. HC climb. There was a sprint along the way, kind of all for naught. I think Bennett and got a little bit ahead of Sagan, so not much issue there. A break got away of Carapaz, who was in the break yesterday. Izaguri, Julian Alaphilippe, Dan Martin, and Lenny Kamna. Call him Lenny. Winner of stage 16. Impressive for the German. Okay, so what do we have? Well, I tune in. I've gone back and forth on this, so I've seen most of the stage. But they're already hitting the front of the climb up the Madeleine, which is a long one. They started 88K and up to 107. So you're looking at 20Ks for that one, and then another 20K for the other. Yeesh, hardcore stuff, and not too easy. So the Madeleine, Bahrain McLaren, they're on the front there, and they have Landa. Landa's in pretty good position. He's like 213 or so going into today, out from Roglic, and his team is on the front. I'm first looking, and I'm seeing some wobbly legs. What's going on? Sonny Colbrelli is on the front. He's more of a sprinter type, and he is doing yeoman's work, and it looks painful. He is at a high rate of cadence, clawing away on the front, jersey wide open, and it's not a guy that looks comfortable going up a climb. So that's what we have to begin with. Bahrain's on there, and kind of wondering what's the deal. But up and over the Madeleine, the break stays away. They get a few, I think, who got the points on that one? Kamna, maybe it was, or Izaguri. No, it was not. Carapaz, maybe. He gets the points, I believe, of that. And he's starting to close in a little bit on Cosnefroy, who is yo-yoing off the back of the Bahrain-led peloton. Now, Jumbo isn't having to do any work at this point up the big climb, so they just are all sitting there, all of them, except for their one big guy that probably drifted off already. And so everyone's just kind of sitting in, but it's a pretty hard pace. Landa's face comes and goes from looking okay to not looking okay. Like I said, Sonny Colbrelli's on the front. They swapping off. They go over the top, then over the Madeleine. The whole peloton's together. And what you have there is Tadej Pogačar ends up taking the points. So if it were to end at that point, he then, I think he was 2 points behind Cosnefroy for the KOM jersey. He ends up taking 8 points and vaulting himself into the lead. So if he doesn't get any more points over the top for the finishing of the Loze, he would then be over the top of Cosnefroy. But Roglic is right behind him on the KOM points. So there's 20 some points, I think, at the offer for the finish. So he's got, like, you expect him basically to be in the polka dot jersey coming up for the next day, which is finally good. So I think Cosnefroy took that jersey on stage 2, and he's been in it and thereabouts until now. So not going to happen for them all. Started the Col de la Look. So I just want to say this. So I'm wondering why Bahrain's doing so much work. I understand they have Landa waiting in the wings, and the brake is off the front. And I start tweeting, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, tweeting with a few guys from Bend, Chris Horner for one of them, and Ian Boswell, and both kind of posing those questions. And what that really looks like is that Bahrain is actually looking to bring that brake back. They really want the stage win for Landa. He must be feeling good, or he had something happened. Some reason why they went all in for him today. And so they're pulling to make sure the brake is in within reason and within reach. It's like 2 minutes or so, 3 minutes, and then it keeps coming down all through the valley of the Loze, up to the Loze. They're in charge as well. It's just giving all the jumbo guys time to just sit on the pace on the back, or they're on the front, but on the back of the Bahrain led train. Not having to do any work over the valley. And I'm thinking, oh, this could be kind of bad. You're gonna see guys at the finish, as 3 examples I put out there: Lopez, Pogacar, and Roglic. They all have a much better kick than Landa. So if it comes down to close between those, Landa would have to get out the front. They're all going to kick past him and take bonus time. So there's a bonus. I haven't seen Landa ride to the point where I would expect this, but either way, the whole team's in for it. And they are going. So the start of the Col de Loze, Bahrain is still pushing through. They have Wout Poels comes out there. He's got a broken rib or something, but he's starting to look good. Pilla Bilbao, the whole entire team. Meanwhile, Jumbo's Wout van Aert, Guessing, Bennett, Tom Dumoulin, they never had to take a pole. 9.1K, Carapaz solo with just over 30 seconds. And then he starts opening the gap several times. And ouch. Expands over to the group behind, and you never see up to about 40 seconds or so, and 5.5K to go. They're starting to near the top, and then Bahrain is done. Caruso taking a pole, and then De La Cruz for UAE comes to the front, and he starts taking a pole for UAE and Pogacar. Yes. But suddenly, Landa's gone. You start seeing Iran distanced. You start seeing all these guys putting off the back. Pretty soon, we're inside 3K to go, and you've got Sepp Kuss, you've got Roglic, you got Pogacar, you got Lopez and Port dangling off the back. It's shattered everywhere. The steep slopes of those are really taking their toll on everyone, and it's looking pretty good. Lopez then inside 3K to go. Sepp Kuss just keeps taking a dig, and he ends up distancing himself to those behind. And with that distance, it opens up. Roglic just allows it to happen. And we'll talk about Sepp. He makes some comments about this later where he says, and you're kind of wondering what's going on, because then suddenly Lopez easily bridges up to him. He's pushing the pace. Sepp then notices that Roglic isn't with him. And what's he going to do? Well, it talked about that they were thinking that he would go up the road at one point anyway, make everyone chase, and then, kind of work some team tactics from there. But then Sepp says, well, at this point, Lopez starts putting the hammer down too much, and I'm not going to have it. So I decide to drift back and give an effort to Roglic, which he does. He does a great team thing, and you're thinking, okay, maybe he's got a chance for the stage win. You're kind of hoping for that. But you can't just let Lopez drift out up the front and get more and more time with the time bonus as well, especially when that finish just keeps pitching and pitching. You don't want to leave your team leader in the lurch. So Sepp does a thing, and it was actually, on hindsight, pretty wise. He drifts back, he gets onto Roglic, and he starts upping the pace. He ups it just enough where Pogacar gets distance, gets spit off that group, and then they're free. And then Roglic goes and takes a pole and comes through. Sepp sits up, and he ends up drifting in between Pogacar and Port, ends up fourth on the day. But what you have up front is Lopez. He keeps distancing, and those three keep yo-yoing back and forth as far as the gaps between them. In the end, though, Roglic looked pretty solid in bringing time back. He got almost back to Lopez. Lopez did get the time bonus at the finish. Obviously, Roglic gets a second place time bonus and a little gap there as well. And then Pogacar, who you had not seen distance at this point, ends up getting a little distance. And except for the wind day, he got distance that day as well. But anyway, so then you have Roglic basically extending his time gap to Pogacar. and we will take a look and see how the overall finished out for the day as well. You have Lopez, first place, 15 seconds over Primoz Roglic, 30 seconds over Pogačar, 56 over Sepp. And Sepp, he just comes drifting in as if he's just out for a Sunday stroll. That's pretty good. Richie Porte still been able to muster his way 101 back from the Lopez. Enrique Mas, another good day at 112. Landa, the guy that was set up for the day. Maybe his team hates him. You know, he kind of rides that way in a sense where unless he's got odds with his team, so maybe he got some blackmail on them, made them ride the front real hard for him, and then just ditched out. Ends up losing himself 120 on the day. Adam Yates 120. Rigoberto Urán suffered almost 2 minutes. Dumoulin comes in at 213, never having to take a turn on the front for the team, but it was a super hard pace. Carapaz, the lone most aggressive guy out in the day, except for not according to the French. And then let's take a look at the GC. So with the GC, you have Roglic over Pogačar, 57 seconds. He's extended his lead over there. It did shrink a bit to Lopez, who vaulted himself into third place. Ran down to sixth place from third. Porte up 2 places into fourth at 305. Adam Yates, fifth place, staying stagnant at 314. Ran 324. Landa down to 327. Dumoulin still at ninth place. And Valverde creeping his way up into the top 10 as he likes to do. 931. Like I said, a little bit of a Spanish flair on the day as far as the tight climbing. And when you have that, like you go here. Pogačar, third place in the Vuelta last year. Second place was Alejandro Valverde. I've come up with some bad, I thought I was saying Lopez, but I think he's been on the podium at the Vuelta before, just not this last year. I think it was 2 years ago. Pogačar, second place here and was third place. And then obviously Primoz Roglic in first place now and won the Giro, the Vuelta as well. Let's go back here to take a look at the points. Sam Bennett, 278, 231. He came in with 7.5 minutes to spare on the time gap today, a little better than actually 2 days ago. So looking pretty good for him, or yesterday, looking pretty good for him as far as making it to Paris. Sagan, 231, 218 to Matteo Trentin. And I thought Cockard might have missed the time cut today, but no, it was his teammate that was still out there. And I think they did end up cutting him. The youth jersey, well, we could see that with Pogačar. Not really even, it's Enrique Mas. He's still coming in good. You know, he rode with Duquoin Quick Step up until last year, had a really good Vuelta a few years ago and last. So he's coming into his own for Movistar. Just not quite podium material yet for that team though. The KOM, Pogačar in the lead over Roglic by 3 points. So that was a big one today, that even though he took those 8 points over the top of the Madeleine, he still didn't, Roglic got more than him. But Lopez creeping up there in third, and Cosnefroy, 36 points down in fourth place. Pierre Roland, Nans, Richard Carapaz, who, like I said, took the points. Sepp Kuss up to 11th place in the KOM jersey. Team, who is now Movistar, still in first place over Jumbo by 30 minutes, and we don't really care about that one as well. All right, how about some finish line quotes? A few things we saw here at Lopez. I'm really happy and very emotional. We worked really hard for this, and it wasn't easy to get in there. Lopez said, "It's amazing. This is for my wife and son. It's hard being a long way away from them, and this is my job. But I think of them all the time. We were confident because we knew the terrain suited us. It was over 2,000 meters of altitude, like being at home, and it was an opportunity for me. So we fought for this stage." When he says we, I mean, he did really well. I don't know that he just had his team around him, but you never saw Astana on the front there. Roglic, it was crazy hard here at the end. The final 3 or 4 kilometers were brutal. You aren't happy when you come to the top, but I am really happy with it. I didn't win, but on the other hand, I gained some time on GC, so it was a rather nice day for me. Yes, it was. Pogačar said he struggled changing gradients. And let's talk about the last few kilometers. I think it really bent well, and you can see that he was struggling a little bit more than, well, first of all, Lopez, super strong. And I think it just kind of finished out the top 3 as far as the strength goes. It would have been interesting if Roglic had been kind of maybe didn't have Sepp up the road, if he was playing some games there and had gone with Lopez, or could have, how that would have finished out. But you saw the last few kilometers when they were all chasing each other, especially the last 1K, it'd be super pitchy, and then it would pitch down and have a little bit of a respite, and then it'd kick back up. The problem you have with that is if you're on the limit, you're going to take that downslope and you're going to allow yourself to recover just a little bit. But if you're not and you're super strong, you're going to drill those downhill sections just enough where you're coming in a little bit hotter as it pitches up and being able to push yourself over. So I think the stronger you are, the more beneficial the little waves are for you. Whereas if you're not, it's going to be even more detrimental. And I think that's where you saw Pogacar kind of, and he talks about it here, going up and down. So let's finish that out. Struggled changing gradients in the final few kilometers, but overall, I'm happy with my performance. It was a really tough day. It was a hard finale. I'm happy to not lose time. The yellow jersey is still reachable. He still thinks so. I mean, the time trial is coming up, He said tomorrow is another hard day. Tomorrow is going to be brutal. We'll go over that one as well. We'll see what we can do. And I think you can be happy with how we rode so far. We will fight to the end. It was just that steep section, then flat sections. It was really hard for me today. Also, it was at altitude, one of the hardest finals I've ever had. And you think back of you got the guys that ride at altitude. You have Lopez, obviously, any of the Colombians. So Lopez mentioned how he was comfortable here. Sepp Kuss, though, Durango boy, he's also up there riding and training and racing at altitude. And I think Durango is probably higher than what they were at today. So, a little bit more maybe of an advantage for him there. Yates, one of the first climbs we've really been at altitude. So a tough day, Yates said, after coming in 120 behind Lopez. In 8th behind Mikel Landa. I hung in there as long as I could, so I can be happy with that. He did well. Once we got to the last 7K, we actually went pretty easy for the first bit. Interesting. I think everyone was kind of saying they didn't know what to expect, and then it was UA starting riding hard from the pace, and then from on in, it was every man for himself, and I just hung on for as long as I could. And I talked about Sepp. We said he had planned to do a little move off the front. He didn't notice that he had gapped Roglic at this point. And then he was on Lopez's wheel, and Lopez started going harder than he could. So he's like, I'm going to jettison. And I think it was a super, super wise move for him to use whatever he could to go back. Doesn't take much to go back, but use the strength that you have and say, I'm going to fire this bullet in a different manner. Instead of trying to hang on here, maybe for the finish, I'm going to drift back. I'm going to sit on Roglic's wheel or pull him. And what he ended up doing then, he distanced Pogacar with that move with Roglic, and Pogacar couldn't come back, and you end up seeing the distance there, gaining an additional, what did we say it was, 20 seconds? 30 seconds on the day. So he's at down 57. What about Bernal? Bernal was a DNS, didn't start today. He talked yesterday about how you can see him, and people were saying, oh, maybe he's intentionally losing time so he can get away and try to win today. And I kept seeing him moving. I mean, you can never know what people are faking or whatever, but he didn't look comfortable on the bike yesterday. And then he said after the stage that his back was hurting him so much that it was actually causing him knee trouble. So with that, I heard Johan Bernal and I heard George Hancappy and Lance. They're all saying, dude, he should have just suffered. You need to learn to know what it is to just suffer. Every time you do the tour, you're hurting. And I get that. Now, we don't know what Bernal's plan is for the rest of the year with the compact season. You don't just finish the tour and then try to ride the Vuelta as a saving grace. You have to get out because the Vuelta is going to start, soon. Matter of fact, the Giro is going to start in 3 weeks coming up this Sunday. And interesting, I just side note on that, Jumbo released their tour team for the Giro, and Tony Martin, he's going to do the double. So he gets to the double. So he's in the tour. He gets finished here. Who knows if he's doing Worlds? Probably not. He gets 3 weeks off. Boom, he's in doing the Giro. With that, though, do you risk your superstar, super young, brilliant, Tour de France defender, and if he's got knee trouble, trying to blow him out just so he can learn how to suffer? I think you've got too much money invested. You don't take your high performance machine out there and thrash it around just to see what it can do. So I get where those old school guys are saying, George especially was like, hey, you get to Paris, you have to learn kind of these down times to get to the good times. Bernal was also saying that he thinks his lack of form or whatever it is was due to some overtraining mixed with too much fanfare or whatever coming off of the Tour win. Who knows what all this is? But let's not just drive like I said, let's not run your race car, your high performance race car, just because you can. This morning, so I'm tweeting along with Chris Horner, and I asked him a few questions, and one of them was, let's see if we could show this on here. I said, Chris, let's see if we can find, what did I say? I said, Chris, what's the reason Bahrain McLaren is doing so much work today instead of letting Jumbo do it? Seems like they're giving Jumbo an armchair ride to the final climb. Chris says, I would think they want a chance for the stage win. The chance for them to win a stage is slipping away. Land is down on GC, so it's possible Roglic and Pogacar keep an eye on each other and allow another rider to slip away for the stage win. Then I basically was like, well, it just seems they're giving Wout and guessing some much needed respite in the valley, so to speak. And I was expecting them to be able to come to the front and kind of crush the whole team, which was interesting. He said, hey, thanks for the content. I just used it on NBC. So if you check it in NBC, somewhere around 450 or so in there of the stage today, they go and talk to him. He doesn't credit us at all, but I was just saying thanks for Horner for acknowledging some of the tweeting we were doing there back and forth. I also kind of not got into it, but had some of the similar stuff with Ian Boswell, and because he was making comments and quotes about the stage as well, and basically saying the same reason. Look, and he said a little bit different. Not that Landa wanted the stage win, but that Landa, they wanted the stage win and time bonus. So you really need to bring that group back. So that's why they were doing so much work, was to make sure the break didn't get away. But like I said, I haven't seen Landa to be so great that you would really necessarily want to do that. So we have here, and he's like, I'm like, hey, but they're giving Wout and then we're free riding the climbs. Landa won't outkick Rog, Pog, Port, or Lopez. So while Valiant, I suspect they will be doing it all for nothing. And then he's like, hey, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, which is true. But I'm like, why'd you have to do those shots from 100 or 70K out? And in the end, I guess I was right. But I was also, I say that, but in the same respect, I was really enjoying the fact that we complain year after year, Sky, did you just sit on the front? Why does another team, try to really make it hard for them? And And then when a team does, I'm complaining about it. Jumbo being Sky in this case, because Sky or Ineos has kind of jettisoned themselves out as well. So what you have though is, Bahrain did that. And, but for two guys, they put everyone but two riders left. When Bahrain was done, it was just Sepp and Roglic. So they couldn't just do that Sky formula. And it did lead to an exciting finish. So while it didn't necessarily benefit Bahrain, it did benefit us, the viewers. So with that in mind, hey, we're pretty happy about it. The Combativity Award is kind of a really lame thing that they have, especially in Europe. When I say in Europe, I mean the Tour de France. This year, it's one. I don't know if you know. It's basically the most aggressive rider. Okay. And with the most aggressive rider, it's just awarded by a jury. And this jury is just Frenchman Laurent Jalabert. So today you get in a break. And in that break is Carapaz, who was in the break yesterday. Who you have Leonard Kamna, who was the winner yesterday. They're both like firing off. But then you have Alaphilippe, who was in the break yesterday, but freaked out and his bike was hurting or something was going on. But today they award him the most aggressive, him being Julian Alaphilippe, the most aggressive rider prior to the ascent up the Col de Loze. And then up the Col de la Loze, you had Carapaz basically not getting caught for 17 of the 20 kilometers. He gets caught with like 3 to go. And for a while there, it was down to 20 some seconds. Then he drifted it back up to 40 seconds. And then it came back finally when Sepp was able to close it down on him. Super impressive, but it wasn't the most aggressive rider. That went to the Frenchman, Julien Alaphilippe, as you want to. Now, there was this is interesting. This is a Macron. He's in the car with Prudhome, the president of the tour, and you can see him here. Oh, he's handing him a bottle of something. I don't know why I find that interesting, but was it a bottle of lube? Was it a bottle of sanitizer? Either way, why did you need it in the car at that moment? Was it the TV cameras on you? I don't know what was going on there. Interesting, nevertheless. And we'll just let your mind speculate as to what they were using, either sanitizer or lube for in the cars. Prudhome, he came back from he had his 7-day hiatus, quarantined himself. I hadn't really heard about a 7-day quarantine period. It had always been 14 days that I had always heard about, but they brought him back. I think he's just a little bit of a grandstander, and he feels like he needs to be on the tour. So that's why he's there. There's really no need for him to really be there at this point. All right. Stage 18 coming up tomorrow. Maribel, to La Roche-sur-Foron, 175 kilometers, a Cat 1, a 3, 2, and a 1, and a 1, then a little hump and a downhill finish. And let's see if we have the profile for it. Okay, so stage 18. Ends with a Cat 1 at 143 summit. They finish at 175, but there's another hump in there. So it's probably enough if you get away on the Cat 1, even with 30K, you've got a long descent down, and then from 160 basically to 165, a 5-kilometer kick, and then downhill to the finish. So it would be good to see, and there's a lot of climbing, that Cat 1 right away, right out the door with a sprint. Ooh, tough. 1, 3, 2, 1. And then we have maybe a sprinter's day on stage 18. I'm sorry, stage 19. And then before 20, where we get the kick up to the nasty La Planche de Belfi. Ride of the day. Look, it should be Lopez, right? But I've had problems with this before. Superman is his nickname, self-imposed, self-named. You can't go with someone who names himself on their nickname. It doesn't work. What am I, T-Dog or something like that? So, but since he's given himself a nickname, I'm picking Sepp Kuss. I think Sepp Kuss saved the day a little bit for Roglic there. He was incredible to watch. He's American, and so I'm really enjoying that portion of it. And so when he gets in the mix and he starts putting it down, it's been good to see, and he's doing dynamite work for his team leader. You're seeing him and Nelson Paulus getting top 10s. Nelson had 2. He's definitely had 1. He's come close to a second one, trying to get in the break in the wind. And then Sepp Kuss, hardest day of the tour, getting a 4th place ahead of Richie Porte, right behind Pogacar, helping his team leader out all the while. Super impressed. Nothing better than being able to see that. So tomorrow, well, there's 199 episodes. We'll have 200 episodes going in tomorrow. Plan to do one. Why not? Join everybody up here. Okay. Episode 199, Between Two Wheels Podcast. Check us out. Just hit the subscribe button. Maybe just make a little comment. Who's your pick for the win tomorrow? Who's your pick for the win? And who's going to win the overall and the Planche de Belfi, the time trial? We will find out soon, everybody. Thanks for joining us once again. Stay safe. Later.